Welcome to Blamestorming. Blamestorming. In a post-truth world, there's plenty of blame to go around. 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 Join Dave Cyrus and Marissa Smith as they blamestorm about today's hot topics.
Hey guys, welcome to Blamestorming. I'm Marissa Smith. I've got your other co-host with us, Dave Cyrus. Say hello, Dave.
Hi.
We've got Christy Miller with us.
What's up, girl?
And we've got Scott Chaplin.
What's up?
So, Christy, how have you been?
Good. Busy, but good.
Yeah. You're always grinding.
Always. Never ends.
I
always think when you get older, it's supposed to get a little easier. Nah.
Yeah.
No one ever said that. Things just get worse. Things
yeah.
get harder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might get lucky, like I did, but most of us will just die of obscurity. I failed longer than anyone ever should. I held in there for I feel like if I had told myself when I started comedy what age I would be making writing movies with Judd Apatow and like performing in like theaters, and I would have said, yeah, it's not worth it. I don't want to wait that long. I think I might have just gotten like a civil service job if I actually, and even though I in retrospect, I'm glad it happened because, you know, I enjoyed the time up into it. I still would have been like, if you told me this is how old you'd have to wait till it goes okay, I'd have been like, pass.
Yeah. Or wait 10 more years and retire doing another thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or I could just do something, easy, like, be a surgeon and
gain your mother's respect.
Yeah, well, she don't care.
She doesn't care?
She's easy to please.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, no, she's like a Jewish mom, but she also had me at 18, so, it just, I don't think she's got that many expectations. The good thing about my parents is that they're so young that they didn't really try to, teach me that much. They just, sheltered me.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do. That's all it is.
Yeah, I feel like I was smarter than them by the time I was, 11, so.
Wow, yeah, sounds right.
Well, they're not, they're not educated people.
Were they together?
My stepdad.
Oh, okay.
My mom remarried when I was, right when I turned 4.
Wow,
so.
Okay.
And they were together till I was an adult.
Your father not in the picture at all?
Sorry. I know him, too.
Oh, okay.
I only met him as an adult.
Wow.
So it's a long story. The problem is he could be listening. So, I don't want to, give too many details that, he'd be, embarrassed about. But, no, we have a thing. Yeah, we're good.
Good,
I don't know.
good,
My dad
good.
could be listening, and I really wish that I hadn't met him until I was an adult. I'm completely fine with that.
My dad's listening to everything on planet Earth because he's dead.
Same.
So, Scott, how have you been?
I'm good. I'm very good. Yeah, I like being here because I get to learn things. I didn't know any of this shit.
Yeah, nice. That's what we do. We really shy away from being funny. It's really about educating
people. Oh, that's what is happening.
Yeah, when you're not trying to be funny,
So I'm not sure
things
at
get
all
really
what's
real.
happening.
But yeah, no, in terms of the idea of making it, a lot of people now ask me for advice, and which makes sense. I know a lot of people who, and I have survivor's guilt for the fact that I did get in the guild and stuff. And I usually have to tell people, I'm like, oh, making it is usually very simple. First, you have to have an already famous person just fall in love with your work. That's pretty much the only way I've ever heard of it happening. It's certainly what happened with me. It's just weird that I would have loved to be able to tell myself after struggling for 10 years in comedy and being like, well, don't worry. Somewhere out there is an 11-year-old boy who someday is going to grow up and make your dreams come true. Don't worry, he's going to become famous young. You're actually not that far off.
Yeah, right? Wow.
You're sounding a little bit like Michael Jackson right now.
How so? That's the opposite. I had someone much younger than me
fall in love
make
with
my
him.
dreams come true.
Yeah.
And, we can talk about Michael Jackson, though. I love talking about him.
Have you talked about Michael Jackson?
No, we have not
What do you
talked
think?
about Michael Jackson. I want to pass on this so bad.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't. He's a child rapist, and we must all acknowledge that.
I mean,
You
of
haven't
course
watched
he's a child rapist.
If you haven't watched the documentary,
I have not
you are
watched
aiding and abetting his crimes. You are an accessory until you watch that movie. He fucking did it, and we all have a responsibility
did.
to have to know in our hearts what he did.
Yeah,
That man was a professional predator. That guy had it planned. People are like, oh, you don't just accidentally fall into a bed with that shit was like completely strategized.
That
that
was
was amazing.
That was the shocking part because we've been lied to. I mean, to believe this lie, it shows how talented he is and how hypocritical we
Brilliant.
are. That we were like, no, he's a little boy.
Yeah.
That's our excuse for him fucking kids.
Yeah.
This whole time
He's
has
Peter
been
Pan.
no. He didn't have a childhood.
If you
Like,
gave
that-
yeah.
and even you're being quiet, but it's like he fucked kids.
Yeah.
Now here's the truth, though.
do.
Here's the truth.
Fuck those kids.
He totally
fucked
did
him
it.
good,
It was a
too.
while ago.
You can't fuck
it
a child.
doesn't negate the fact that he
Oh, you didn't see the documentary.
was the most
would
talented
have
person
raped
to
a
have ever
child.
existed.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have fucked a child. I see.
Those are both the same thing.
They're not
It's-
the same thing. Fucking
No,
and
no, no.
raping are two different
Fucking
things.
someone against their will is rape. Let's not get into a semantic argument to get away
But-
from the fact that Michael Jackson raped
Yeah.
boys.
Okay,
We're not going
so
to
I
get into the
didn't-
weeds with semantics. We are talking about Michael Jackson and what he did to children.
All right, I did not see the documentary,
Mhm.
so I can't speak on that.
Well, I'll say this. He did literally everything in your worst nightmare you imagined he was that all through the 80s when we all in the back of our heads were like, what if it's true? It was all true.
Here's how I know he did it. Because when they talk about it, they speak about the sexual acts like it felt good. And
Yeah.
a really common thing that we do as adults, and it's super dangerous, is we tell children, if someone makes you uncomfortable, tell us. But we don't tell them, if someone makes you feel really good, also tell us.
That's a good
Because that's a
point.
real fucking thing.
Yes, it is.
It's
Thank
very
you.
real, and it's so fucked that we don't do that. And so when they're describing this in the documentary, and you're going, God damn, they liked it. You go, oh, fuck, no, they liked it. That means it totally happened
Yeah.
because a liar would go, he touched me and
he
so
hated it.
uncomfortable. Nope, they were
Yeah.
like, he would split my, make me bend over and split my butt cheeks apart. And it's like very sexual and like you can tell that they're remembering something they enjoyed
Yeah.
with somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And also, here's how I know he did it. Because he looks like you gave someone 30 seconds to draw a pedophile. I'll even say this. I have a theory. I don't think he was even weird. I think the whole fucking thing was one big act, just like Bill Cosby, to create a character that you would let your kids sleep with.
Thank you.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
makes perfect
He's
sense.
brilliant.
He built his life around the idea
A
of
fucking little
how
kids.
can I act that people will actually believe, no, he's not a pedophile. He's so crazy that he wants to sleep in a bed with children and not touch them. Which, by the way, let's be honest with ourselves, that's weirder than being a pedophile.
Yeah.
You know how I know? Like, that's how you know he did it. Because no one in the world wants to spend time with a child that isn't theirs. Ever. That's why you have to pay people for it.
Mm-hmm.
No one has fun hanging out with kids. Ever. Everyone who says they do it is doing it. Name anyone who says I love kids, it's their fucking job.
Yeah.
They're being paid to do it.
Yep.
No one wants a conversation with an 11-year-old boy for any reason. Not even 11-year-olds. They're settling for each other.
Even
They're
parents
fucking-
don't want to talk to their fucking
They're
kids half
so
the time.
fucking annoying. Every last one of them. Oh, because he can dance good, he's less annoying? He's more annoying.
Yep.
Now he's full of himself, too.
Now he won't stop fucking performing.
Those...
And the reason I'm happy that this is happening is because exactly what I thought would happen is happening. No one's really talking about it much, like in a way that matters. Not like with everything. This is the first person in like 2 or 3 years that these are the first people who have made an accusation and people went, all right, let's look into this. In like 2 or 3 years, it's the first time people have been said, this has happened to me. And we've said, give us more details. Everybody else for the last 2 years has been, okay.
And then what happened, the documentary came out, and they were like, enough details.
Yeah.
Okay, we believe you.
It's
I didn't need to know that much detail, but you know what? I kind of
I
did.
get why we don't
I
want to
guess.
believe it, but I think we just need to be honest with ourselves. You know, people who go, how can you separate the two? Like, how can you separate the artist from the art? Because my brain functions properly.
Well,
That's how.
I co-wrote Pete's last update on
Oh,
SNL,
yeah.
which was about this subject. It was about Michael Jackson and
Mhm.
R. Kelly. And one of the points that I introduced to it was that kind of got touched upon was the idea that like it's a fair exchange. It's a good compromise to say, you know what, you could still listen to R. Kelly if you admit he did it,
Yeah.
and if you really like it, you should probably donate to Rain. Which is
Yeah,
what
yeah,
we
yeah.
want. We actually wanted to make it like an official charity through NBC, and they won't let us do that. So we just said, you know, hey, go give money.
Mhm.
So yeah, we just put like, you know, on like Instagram.
But also, people are afraid to admit that he did it along this in the same realm of like the Trump supporters and all that. A lot of people are afraid to admit that he did it because then it would mean like, oh, I like a pedophile.
Yeah.
I might be that person too.
I helped him get away with
helped
this.
him fucking do this, and I believed him, and I didn't listen to those kids, and I didn't believe them because I didn't want to believe them, and now I'm just as bad as he is. That's why people don't want to admit it, because it would make them look at themselves.
It's that, and it's this simple, very very simple psychological idea that they're just saying, if I have a choice between living in a world where this happened and this didn't happen, obviously I'm living in a world where it didn't happen. Which is a very sad thing that people make themselves do.
So, like, for me, I don't feel like I don't think it happened, and I'm not. I feel like I'm equally on both sides. Like, I feel like this equally could have happened as much as it equally might not have happened. And here's my feeling about it is that I really wish that this had come out while he was alive.
It did.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
but I mean,
It did.
these guys,
That's a
though.
good
Michael
point.
Jackson took
No.
the easy way out by going to sleep forever.
No, but
Because
I
he
mean,
knew
like
they were after him.
these
Seriously.
men in particular, because they already came out during the trial and said that it didn't happen. They testified that this didn't happen, and while that there was a
One
kid.
One of them did. The other
One.
was,
He was a child.
yeah, the other. Well,
He
they
wasn't
were
a-
young.
the-
They were young
He was-
adults.
He was
at
like a
the time.
teenager.
They were like
Yeah.
15 or
No,
Yeah.
I
They
think
were
they're in their
maybe
20s.
was it
Oh,
20s?
really?
already?
Yeah, they were in their 20s.
Before they had children, which is what really made. And a lot of molested people will say that once they have children is when it really gets hard to deal with. Because then they.
You
That's,
can't
Right.
suppress it anymore.
Well,
You can't.
it's only when you have a child that you truly understand how evil
gravity
it
of
was.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And like, and
I know someone who went into that documentary 100% sure he was innocent and left 100% sure.
I used to think he was innocent.
I'm
Me
not
too.
even.
I
I've
was a little
always
kid.
kind of been on the fence about it, but I just kind of feel like they had this documentary. At least one of them had said that he hadn't done these things while that trial was going on, and that kid, if this actually happened to that kid, and this man now is saying that this happened to him, like, you would have thought that he would have some empathy for this kid, that, like, you know something, this happened to me too, let me help support you, let's lift us
Well, the
up
empathy,
together.
the problem is he thought two things. One, this kid, well, if it happened to me, at the time, he was like, it was a cherished memory. He was my first love. He gave him a fucking ring. Like, he had a marriage ceremony with this child.
Yeah.
So this kid was like, at the time, I still remembered, I was he said, I was laying awake, I was waking up from nightmares of him being killed in prison because of me. Because he still loved him. And
Like,
and also
I-
Michael made sure to keep these people successful. He made sure that they had good lives. He was like, I'm going to make you a famous filmmaker. I'm going to make you a famous choreographer.
Yep.
I'm going to make sure that you never hit rock bottom and have nothing
Yeah,
to
but the
turn to.
choreographer was also dating his niece, and the niece said that, like, I guess, like, the niece came out and was like, oh, well, he cheated on me with, like, Britney Spears or something like that, and he didn't come out with all of this until he didn't get money. But what I was going to say is that, like, I dated a guy that had been sexually molested as a child, and it was, so, like, I have, not that I have all of the knowledge, but he would actually put himself in the position to be molested to save his younger brother from getting molested. And that, like, you know, he knew it was going to happen. Like, the neighbor would come
Sounds
over.
like it was against his will.
And
Sounds like he didn't want to do it. These kids wanted to do it. These kids were groomed in a much
But
more
he-
dramatic
It's
way.
it's way different. 'cause-
Grooming is a very, very big part of child molestation. And if the kid you're describing was a kid who was being forced to do something, these kids were being tricked into something.
but he went into the situation so that his younger brother did not
Right.
have
Yeah,
to.
he sacrificed
He
himself.
sacrificed
Which
He
himself.
didn't do, but it
shows-
wasn't willing. The acts weren't willing.
Shows an
He-
acknowledgement that it was that it was forced.
Yeah.
It's an acknowledgement that he didn't want to do it.
And
These
it was an
kids-
acknowledgement it was wrong, and the kids, they both hated it.
Probably because
These
the
kids were
person
in love with Michael.
probably because the person you're talking about was being molested by some fucking mailman, not the most famous human being on earth, who the most beloved person on the earth at the time, who was saying, I'm going to bring you dressed like me, and you're going to come to my meetings, and you're going to be on TV, and everyone in the world
I
loves
guess-
me, and I only love
Yep,
you.
it's
I don't
true.
know. I
And
guess,
people are
like,
just-
my whole
just
thing,
like
though, is
America's
that,
dad.
like,
Yeah.
I have an understanding of the empathy that he had for his younger sibling and for, like, the other, like, neighborhood kids that were going through it as well, and that they would in some way kind of stick up for each other. And that's what I'm not,
But
I didn't
you're
really.
glossing over the idea that it's possible that these children liked it. That's what grooming is.
Yes.
No, I mean I understand grooming.
And this kid was obviously not groomed. The person you're talking about was being molested against their will.
Yeah.
So that was not.
But I
not
feel
groomed.
like every child is molested against their will.
Absolutely not.
Not all of
That
them.
is-
No.
I feel like a
Absolutely
child
Absolutely
can't
not.
consent.
That's
to
what
it.
grooming
Well, yeah, in the
means.
sense that
They're
they can't
seduced.
consent. But I mean, a kid, you know,
It's
if you go,
not-
hey, you want a lollipop? He goes, yeah. He wants the lollipop. Just like, you know, like
It's
Right, he wants the lollipop, but he doesn't want someone diddling him.
no.
Sometimes
so
they do.
especially the age.
Sometimes
So-
they feel physical pleasure from this horrible act, and they're too young to understand why they shouldn't.
And the way
and when they feel shame when they do feel pleasure from it, so they never want to talk about it
Well,
either.
and the way he approached it is the way young boys. I mean, so it was like, I'm
Right.
gonna let me show you something cool, and then it's like
Yeah.
he teaches them how to masturbate. That's something that little boys do. Like they tell each other, like, have you done this to yourself? And it's like, what? And they like discuss it. Like I remember when I was 11, the age of these boys.
Yeah.
It was like
One of them, yeah.
me and a bunch of friends would like watch porno on someone's computer and all like get our own like blanket and masturbate at like 11, go into a
Right.
corner and and don't pay attention to each other, but whatever, you know.
Right.
We're like, you can't ejaculate, and we'd all go into the bathroom individually and come out and like prove, like, look, here's a little something that
Right.
came out of me, and it's like, boys do that.
I didn't do that.
No, I'm not saying. No, okay, yeah, no, maybe you didn't. But boys do.
No, it
it's a
happens a lot.
thing. It's a
Yeah.
thing that happens. It's
I've
like,
actually, I can say when I was that age, I was at like sleepovers where other kids did stuff like that, and I was actually freaked out
yup.
by it and like kind of left the
I
situation.
know two boys who, like one boy who put a kid's penis in his mouth. I wasn't
Norton?
even there, but it was like, we're boys and we were playing at a sleepover. Like it was just like, it's just the thing some kids fall into, and it's
Well, it's
interesting
not gay
and
if
it feels
It's
good.
not
and
gay if it's
and they
soft.
don't. And, they
and that's
also,
how he approached it. He didn't approach it with like, you know, like, hey, what's up? Like he wasn't trying to act like I'm a man and you're a kid. It was like, I'm gonna teach you something really cool. And then when you do it that way, like you're friends and like
you
you're
gain
a
their
kid.
trust.
Yeah,
And
then,
they don't think of it as a bad sexual
there-
or bad act.
I don't think
It's
there's
like,
any way they thought it was weird until way later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
until
what
they were too
happens
deep
is
into it, yeah.
it took a long time. What happens is what he sets up. This is a classic grooming technique. First, he makes you dependent on him.
Yep.
Your whole family is living off me. You are here because of me. Your entire life will fall apart if I'm not pleased. I've given you so much. I've given you everything you ever wanted.
Yep.
Oh. Now there's something that you can do for me.
Mhm.
For the first time, you can actually start paying this back. And you know what? You're going to be amazed at how meaningless this seems compared to all the stuff I'm doing for you.
And also makes the kid feel good that they're able to give back for someone that's given them so much. Oh, okay, I'll do it. Absolutely. I'll do that for you. Not a problem. They don't see it as like, oh, this is creepy and weird. They're too young to
And
But
also,
like I
Michael-
didn't watch the documentary, but where are the parents in all of this? Like the parents don't think
Also
like
groomed.
also
Oh,
groomed.
they're the dumbest.
They find it.
Oh, he sought out dumb
groomed.
parents. He certainly, he looked for parents that were gullible and dumb.
He looked for stage parents.
Exactly.
Yep.
Stage parents, there's a lot they're willing to let their
And
kids
ones
go
that are
through.
like all romanticized by celebrity.
Why do you think two of the dads killed themselves?
Yeah.
Because they let this happen because they were just such idiots. People forget what it was like in 1988 in America.
Yep.
How there is no one alive today who is the kind of beloved and famous that Michael Jackson was then. There isn't.
Yeah.
No.
There-
You're right.
There can't be.
That kind of fame didn't exist. There's no
No.
Johnny Carsons anymore. There's no Michael
No.
Jacksons
Nope.
anymore.
Yeah.
Listen, when I was all my years with Mooney, and when I remember before Michael died, we would, because he would joke about him in his act, and we would talk about him. And when the accusations came out, Mooney goes, "Oh, homie, he's a check writer. He didn't do that to those kids. He's just a check writer. He's just gullible." So I believed Paul because he knows Michael, he knows the Jacksons. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
not a-
okay, I believe you, Paul. If you're telling me this,
Mhm.
I believe you. Then I met Corey Feldman in the 90s, and I went to his house for his birthday party. That's when I knew Michael did this stuff to those kids. And
Because
this was,
isn't Corey saying he didn't do this?
oh, he did.
Corey says he was never molested by Michael, but Corey also says that Michael would have weird porno just sitting around for the children to see.
Let me tell you this house. Listen, Corey also doesn't want to be remembered as the kid, the celebrity kid or actor who got fucked by Michael Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
because that'll brand him and ruin, and that'll be the one thing that people know
And if
Corey
there's one
Feldman
thing
for.
Corey Feldman has right now, it is an excellent brand. that
Hello.
He does not want
All he
tarnished.
has left
Exactly,
is his
because he's
pride.
fighting. Yes, if that. So I go in his house, and it was his birthday party, and in the hallway, like the walls were like all white, and it was kind of like that clean, sleek look, back in the '90s. And there was pictures. There was pictures of him and Michael all over the place, like in picture frames, like on those little side bench things that go against the wall, like, and then in the hallway, and in the hallway towards the bedrooms, he had the gold and platinum records of Michael Jackson all over the place. I mean, the whole house was decorated with him and Michael. I'm like, this guy's in love with this guy. Holy shit! I wonder if they really had. And then, out in the backyard by his pool, he had his band set up, and they was performing because he thought he could, and we were fucking dying laughing because it was so bad. But he was dressed as Michael Jackson and singing Michael Jackson covers.
And what age was this?
This was in the late 90s.
Well, the thing about it is that Corey also said that while he claims he was never molested, he also said that once he went through puberty, Michael just cut him off. Stopped speaking. He goes, it was my best friend. I spoke to him every day. And then, and when I turned 14, he disappeared and wouldn't speak to me anymore.
But this was like the late 90s when I was at his house. And I was like, what the fuck? It was creepy. I didn't stay long. I'm like, dude, we're out of here. This is weird. Like, this is unhealthy. This is creeping me out. Seeing all these pictures of him and Michael and his gold records and all this shit. And he's dressed like him. I go, this is like some freak show.
But also, I would say the thing about both him and Macaulay Culkin is Michael was obviously putting all of his energy into not getting caught with this. Doesn't it make sense that he would not molest the famous ones?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Makes perfect sense to lay that red herring.
Yeah, but I mean, you would say the same thing about Harvey Weinstein, and he was doing the same shit to the really big, like, female, like, celebrities as he was to the up and coming ingenues. So, like,
Well,
I don't know.
When you say what he was doing, you mean like the actual forcible assaults, or just the quid pro quos and the harassments and the extortion? Because the extortion stuff, let's face it, it's just not even remotely relatable. The idea of saying sleep with me for this part is not something people go to jail for. Whereas the women that he sexually assaulted were more of the women who were in a vulnerable position. They weren't the big stars. They were the ones who he thought needed him and he could get away with it. But I mean, they're unrelated because even by those standards, even when you include like the women Harvey Weinstein raped, at the end of the day, people considered touching kids, especially back then, a much bigger deal than what you would have called what at the time unfortunately was not thought was just like date rape and should have been considered more important, but it still was not like fucking a kid.
I'm not saying that pedophilia and I'm not equating the two. What I'm saying is that there are people that are famous that have been abused the same as people that are less famous, which I think is your point, is saying that, of course, he's not going to touch Macaulay Culkin and Corey Feldman because those two kids were famous.
And as long as they weren't touched, they can go out there and say, he never touched me, and you all know my face, so you can trust me.
But what I'm saying is that abusers can't really control themselves or their urges,
That's
and so that,
true.
like, I think
That's a
that
ridiculous
they,
statement.
he's going to abuse the famous kids, and Harvey Weinstein's going to abuse the famous women.
Michael was more careful than Harvey
calculated.
Weinstein was. Michael's
very calculated.
Extremely intelligent, worked really hard to do this. That's why people like him and Bill Cosby were able to get away with this for decades, because they took the time. There are people like Bill Cosby who really went to the trouble of being a serial rapist, but did it in a calculating, supervillain-like way. And then there's people like Harvey Weinstein who was just grabbing every pussy he could get in front of. And because he just thought he was too powerful to get away with it, and because he wasn't doing things that were as overtly obvious, he was doing more behind closed doors with where it was like, oh well, she wants this from me, and I'm he was a scumbag, but he was a scumbag in a much more complicated way. It took more time to explain what he was doing. I just don't think, but like the idea that all pedophiles or all rapists are just monsters who just can't stop. No, they are calculated monsters.
Yeah.
They will do lots and lots and lots of work. I mean, for a quick second, let's talk about the Golden State Killer. The Golden State Killer is that guy that Patton Oswalt's wife helped catch before she died.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yes.
they had through DNA, through like people checking their DNA, they were able to figure out that he was the guy who first was the Visalia ransacker, then he was the East Area rapist, and then he was the original Night Stalker. So he went from like robbery to rape to murder, and
wasn't he also a strangler or something like that? And then
no, he was those are the three things he was known as. He
Okay.
was strangling people, but he was known as the Night Stalker, not the Midnight Strangler.
Okay.
But then there was the original Night Stalker. Then someone else got named it. But so they wrapped it all and called him the Golden State Killer. This guy was a ridiculous serial killer. First, he was breaking into houses every night until he eventually killed someone. Then he was raping women all the time. Then he started raping and killing women. And then in the mid-'80s, he stopped.
Yep.
For no reason. No reason anyone knows. He
Nope.
stopped for 40 years.
Yep.
Or 30 years. He didn't do anything.
Yep.
And then they caught him. And he's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
How'd he stop? I'm honestly saying, like, how could someone be compelled to do something so evil and then just stop?
I think that well,
It's complicated.
well, my assumption would be that he moved out of the area and was just doing this somewhere else.
They would know that
They
because
would know that 'cause
they've been
they-
checking his DNA with all these villains.
Yeah.
With all these victims. So
He
like,
just stopped cold
no,
cold
he
turkey.
really stopped, and he had a normal family. His daughter's like a surgeon. His other daughter's like a teacher. He
Yeah,
had
it was
a normal life.
insane.
It's so scary that these people are capable of being this controlled.
But
Yet will also do these horrible things.
Most serial killers don't kill their families, though. The BTK didn't kill his
No,
family
but
either.
I'm saying the fact that he had such a normal life, and that he just had
After he did all those
he
crimes.
did all these things, and then he just raised a normal family, had a normal life.
Yeah, some people give up on their dreams. Dave.
Yeah. It's like I said, you got to hang in there.
Give up on
Yep.
your dreams
You
and
gotta
start a
hang in there.
family.
A couple
man.
more
could've-
years, he could have been
He
famous.
could have become friends with Charles Manson, take him under his wing, and start being able to really. But no, I'd say, look, we it's very dangerous for us to start thinking that we understand people on such a simplistic level that we know, well, they'll do this, they won't do this. At the end of the day, I mean, I think you should watch the documentary. I think everyone should watch both the R. Kelly documentary and
I haven't
Michael
seen
Jackson
that
one.
either.
I didn't
but
see that.
Because I don't think a decent human being can watch these stories and think that they're seeing someone making something up. Sometimes people make stuff up. A minority of people do. There was certainly the satanic panic of the 80s where a bunch of children were given implanted memories. But those were sensational. Those were a different. Those you could track where these things came from. These are people who never met each other.
I'm having a hard
Same
time
exact story.
just with all these documentaries in general because I almost feel like this is like becoming like some sort of like pornography of victimhood or something. It's just like we're just watching these people that have gone through these horrible things and we're just like, oh yeah, like tell me more. What else did he make you do? And I don't know. I feel like that's part of the reason why I haven't watched this stuff because I just kind of feel like we're just becoming so desensitized to like I think the human condition that we're just watching these horrible things so that we can make tweets about them.
Yeah, but at the same time, people don't want to watch it because they don't want to know. And not watching it, not wanting to know, is how he got away with it.
Yeah,
And how he continued to get away with it, and how more people get away with it now.
And the more you see it and the more we have to watch it, the more we realize how deep it is and how big it is, and not just like a couple of incidents and a couple of people. This has been going on for years, bazillions of years, and people don't want to know. It's like that whole like I'm really big in animal rescue, and I get worn down with the abuse with all the pit bulls and the dog rings and rescuing and watching these animals tortured. It sometimes I can't, like I just throw up. I can't handle it. And then, but you got to realize it's like if you don't even want to watch, if you can't even handle this part, it is so deep down that if the more we push it away, the more we don't realize it's happening, and then we forget about it, and then it
that's
just
why-
keeps happening.
And that's why people don't believe victims. They
Yeah.
don't believe these things are real because they hear so many people saying, I don't want to know about it.
Yep.
You know, that's what everyone says about just let him have his legacy. And it's like, but his legacy being destroyed is going to stop someone else from touching a kid.
Yep.
It is. Because there are too many. The more people get away with it, the more people think that they can get away with it.
Yeah.
The more the environment of believing people. Someone who saw that documentary is now going to believe a kid that's getting molested right now that they wouldn't have believed before.
And the signs with the kids telling these stories and these documentaries, then when they hear little things will trigger like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta like figure out, is this kid being hurt or is this a creepy thing? You know what I mean? Like there's signs that you can pick up from watching these documentaries and the patterns. And if you start seeing a kid like, show different signs or like maybe like kind of retreating a little bit or isolating or being weird or acting out, you won't just think, oh, he's just being a kid or just being an asshole. You're like, wait a minute, maybe something's really going on because you've seen it so much and you see the patterns. So it'll actually help people catch it maybe in the early stages or help prevent it from happening.
At the end of the day, too many kids are getting molested because people can get away with it.
Yep.
We've seen that over and over again. We got to change. We got
have
to change
to.
the way that works
Yep.
because it's just happening too much.
Yeah, it's alarming how much is happening. But
It's
I
overwhelming.
think another big story is I think we all know now, and I think we all did know, and his legacy isn't ruined. I think that's interesting. Like, that's a whole other thing to talk about for an hour. That we found the person who did these things, and we all went, okay, I still got to listen to it.
Well, the argument I had with that is that, like, if we say, you know, you have to stop listening to Michael Jackson, the problem is eventually it's going to be, oh, the guy who made this bridge raped someone.
Yeah.
I
gotta-
can't drive over
we
that
can't-
one.
we can't stop using the bridge. Like, or you're going to find out that, like, there's a certain kind of technology that is literally impossible to break away from that was made by a monster. We have to kind of accept that, you know, we're going to have things created by bad people, and it can't be an either or thing. It should be like, if you want to listen to, I mean, I don't want to listen to, I didn't really want to listen to them before, but it's like, it's more important that you acknowledge what happened than that you boycott them. Because, yeah, I know people who still listen to R. Kelly and think he did it.
Yeah, me.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he said it on the show. Pete was pretty open about, like, no, he's a good musician. I think he should drop dead. I think he's a bad person,
Yeah.
but these songs are good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like an example that was cut from that sketch was a line we had where I was saying, like, look at Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin married a 15-year-old girl, but people were so starved for entertainment, they were like, look, just do whatever you want. Just don't take away your funny walks.
Yeah.
We can't live in a world where you don't duck walk.
Yeah.
Take all the children you want.
Well, the Chaplin thing, even though eventually the government wanted him out of the country, and that's when they were like, hey, you fuck kids, don't you? And he
Yeah.
was like, what? And then,
Because he was a communist, right?
Yeah.
See,
Well, they
the
assumed he
trick
was a
is you
communist.
got to marry your child,
Yeah.
Elvis.
But he did.
He
Actually, I
did.
think
There was
Charlie
just,
did marry
he
the
did,
guy.
but there was just so many young women he was
Yeah.
with. Yeah.
Elvis just had the one
Yeah,
that
exactly.
we know of.
Smart.
But also, you know, Charlie Chaplin was like 4'9". So
Yeah.
I think it was the only women who would, like, he could, like, feel the same
I mean,
level.
You must be this tall to ride this ride.
Gandhi used to lie in bed with like young girls also.
Yeah, that was
People
it.
have-
Especially then, and like in Charlie Chaplin's time, it was like a thing. Like my grandmother, you know, if you go like, oh, when I think she married my grandfather when she was 15, and
Yeah.
he was like 20, and it's just like
Mooney's mom was 11 when he was born.
See,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And Mooney's twins, he was 13.
Jeez.
So it's, you know, back then it was, you know, by 20 you were washed up if you weren't
Yeah.
married and had kids.
I remember being a kid and hearing the story of Usher losing his virginity and thinking it was so cool, and he would brag about it all the time. And I haven't heard it brought up in like the modern era, but the thing was he was like 11 or 12, and Puff Daddy, P Diddy, whatever his name is currently, like brought him to a party and was like, "We're getting you laid," and had some lady have sex with Usher. And it was like he was bragging about it in an interview, and it was like, "Oh, that's so cool." Puff Daddy took him somewhere when he was 12 and got him laid. That's awesome. And that was like
Yeah.
the consensus was, oh my God, he got laid when he was 12 because Puff
Right.
Daddy took him somewhere. And now you're like, wait, what
That's
the
also Lil
fuck
Wayne.
happened?
That's also what happened to Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lil Wayne, I guess the Big Wayne, the guy that he's named Lil Wayne for,
Really?
the original Wayne, I think he said when he was like 10, was like telling, like, you know, strippers, oh, suck Lil Wayne's dick, it'll be funny.
Crazy.
Yeah, and when you're 12 years old, you're like, that is the greatest human being I've ever
Ever.
heard of. I would give anything, and I would have, and I would honestly to this day be like, I wasn't molested. I had a great time. Like, I think,
Yeah, if I was like 11
sure
and
I
my
would
uncle
remember
was
it, yeah.
having ladies
Yeah.
suck my dick, I'd still to this day be like, I had the coolest uncle growing up.
yeah,
Yeah.
You'd be like, I don't want other people to have to go through this
For sure.
But
Yeah.
But I'd like to go through it again, please.
no, I know someone who it's a different version of that. It backs it up. I know someone who got a prostitute to lose his virginity when he was 12. Which I first of all, I couldn't even believe it's like that he had the bravery to like go
Wow,
into like
yeah.
a street corner and like and proposition a woman like as a fucking 12-year-old, and it worked. That's
Hey, money's money.
like I was just like, I can't believe you had the balls as a 12-year-old just be like, oh, saved up, got my paper out money, just like,
Let's do this.
what kind of lunatic?
What do you want, a bike? Nope, I want my dick sucked. All right, well, let's do this.
Yeah, no, it's
That's crazy.
yeah, no, that is nuts. And it's someone like I have no reason not to believe him. Someone I know really well. I was like, Jesus Christ. No wonder you're sexually weird. You like the second you had an erection, you were just like, yeah, just
We're like, how much is in this piggy bank?
Where's the Lincoln Tunnel?
Yeah.
He paid her. First he offered her a bit of string, and then that's a
That's a
literary reference.
To what?
I don't know.
I don't
People
know.
paying.
things.
I think it's a Tom Sawyer thing. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, he paid her with an apple core. he offered to whitewash a fence
Yeah. There we go.
to get his balls licked. That was. Just imagine some boy just walking around with a slingshot in his back pocket.
Yeah. Paint
Hell.
this fence for you.
Hey, lady.
Wow.
So let's
He abused
before
himself.
we
He did.
we're gonna have to start wrapping up soon, but before let's get into another topic of the news. So there was, I believe, like a week or two ago, like one of the members of the Gambino crime family was shot and killed in front of his house by
Yes.
a 24-year-old. Originally, they thought it was like, oh, like there's going to be a mob war brewing, but then it turns out that allegedly this 24-year-old wanted to date this mob boss's niece or something,
Yes.
And he was against it.
and he was
Because
against
the
it.
guy was a crazy person.
Yeah.
Because the guy was a conspiracy freak lunatic, and everyone knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he is flashing MAGA signs at the court hearing.
Yes, on his hand.
On his hand with other, like white power, white supremacist symbols that were on his hand with the MAGA. What I can't even wrap my head around like the MAGA going after the mob right now.
Oh,
but
it makes more sense to me than anything.
like it makes no sense to me. I guess because like I just feel like I don't know white people, but like
Oh, it
it's
makes
just.
they're Italians.
Yeah.
But it makes perfect
They
sense.
forget where they came from.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of Trump supporters are Italian.
Well, it makes
Staten
sense
Island.
if you actually took like Trump's real issues.
Yeah.
It makes sense that a supporter of his would want to kill people in the mob.
Well, he's not the Punisher. He's not going after
Exactly.
criminals.
That's the problem.
He killed a mob boss because
Yeah.
the mob boss was standing in the way of something he wanted. And MAGA is the bat signal for crazy, aggressive people.
Yes.
Because MAGA encourages you to embrace the part of your mind that the rest of society is telling you is diseased.
Yes.
The violence and the hatred and the fascism, the idea of authoritarianism that power is all that matters, and he has the circle in his hand because he's a QAnon guy. All conspiracy theorists have started to coagulate into alt-right Republicans, and crazy people go along with being conspiracy people.
It's
so
community.
we're seeing is the stickiness of troll culture pulling in Republicans and the KKK and becoming this one big nebulous thing that starts with people saying, oh, it'll be funny, make an OK symbol because everyone already does it, but we'll know it means white power. And then when liberals say it means white power, we'll be able to gaslight them and say, oh, you're just crazy. You think you see white power everywhere. And then somebody kills 50 Muslims and makes the white power symbol to make sure everyone knows, hey, this is who I'm with.
Yep.
And now and now I hope to fucking God that people like Zena Dash, or I think that's her name, the woman who made the white power symbol behind Kavanaugh during the hearings, I hope she loses her fucking life now. I'm not dead. I mean, like loses her livelihood. I hope that she gets punished for the rest of her life because she chose to flash a white power symbol to show everyone, hey, this is who we are now. This is the Republican Party now. And, oh, you stupid liberals, you'll never prove that we're actually, he killed how many people? Oh. Okay, they all know what it means now.
Yeah.
And I don't believe for a goddamn second that woman did not know that she was doing a
she's-
shout out to the
Yep.
neo-Nazis
Well, she did
of the
it
country.
multiple times across
Yes.
the 3 days of the hearing.
Because that's what trolling is now. Trolling is being a white nationalist.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, well, I heard someone say, like, oh my God, you have no idea what you're talking about. She's part Jewish and part Mexican. She can't be racist. And I'm like, part Jewish, part Mexican. Who does that sound like that killed Trayvon Martin?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess he wasn't racist either, right?
Right, of course not.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of fucking Jews and half somethings are desperate to be considered white people and be racist. Certainly a lot of Jews. I live in an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood. A lot of them love Trump. And you cannot convince me that you love Trump this much and don't have a problem with certain colors of people.
No, I mean,
Even if you're a black Trump supporter, I think you hate other black people.
yeah.
Oh, they definitely do. One of my
Yeah.
friends, he's passed away, but he was a big Trump supporter. Black, gay, in his 50s.
Ugh.
And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Did Paul Mooney die?
No. That would be 150s.
Yeah, 50s, Jesus.
You're being nice. He was in his 50s
What, he
like
died in the
40 years
70s?
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paul Mooney looked 50 when he was hanging out with Richard Pryor. That's true.
Yeah.
Paul Mooney looked 70 on the Chappelle Show.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he might have been,
Yeah.
to be honest.
He
I
was
don't know.
born in, his 75th birthday party was 2012.
Oh, good God. So he's just old as the hills.
Yeah, so he's
He's over 80.
yeah, he's
my grandmother's
my
age.
mom was born in 38 and I think he was in 37 or 36.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Lucky number.
Cuz he's right before her.
At least it was. Wow. Yeah, well,
I don't know.
God
I
bless
just-
him. Maybe he's not gay. Just putting that out there.
Well, he has full-blown dementia, so he probably forgot.
Wow, I did not
Yeah,
think the
he's
word was
going
going to be
through it,
dementia
right?
just there. I did not think you were going to finish that sentence with dementia. Boy, did you have me going for a second. Oh, man. I was 100% sure
Dave
we were
just
about
turned
to
red.
reveal. Oh, man, I wanted so...
All right. I think we can throw like one quick
Oh, we have
one
time?
in there.
Okay.
Just like a quick, fast one. You want to do your Steve King thing?
Oh, yeah. Well, just that... You guys know who Steve King is? He's that one congressman who's actually, like, openly white supremacist now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
was
Okay,
like,
yes,
what's
yes.
wrong with white nationalism? What's wrong with thinking whites are better?
Yeah.
So Steve King put out a meme of the red states fighting the blue states and saying, like, we have 1 trillion guns and you just have a bunch of people who don't know which bathroom to use.
Yeah.
That's Steve King. Two things funny about that. Number one, he put his home state of Iowa on the blue side.
Yeah, saw that.
And two, the fact that, like, you don't think we know what this is, Steve King? You don't think that we know that you're trying to go along with Steve Bannon and Paul Manafort and Trump himself and be like, hey, guys, listen, maybe he did commit these crimes, but are you willing to let all those people die when all the Republicans who love Trump start mass murdering? And I'll say this right now. Yes, I think it's absolutely worth it. I think there's no number of bodies that is not worth righting the ship and punishing the evil that is in this country and trying to bring us back to a place of dignity. And I've said this before on the show where we got derailed because you said you don't believe that war is going to exist by, and actually, this was a few months ago now, where I said, like, is a civil war worth it? If we know that millions of Trump supporters are going to pick up guns and try to take back the country, would you ever think to just be like, all right, let him have it. Let Trump be president for life then. It's not worth the death.
No, of course not.
Fuck no.
I mean, this is something worth dying for.
Yes,
it is for
is.
me. I mean, if they want to have a coup and take over the country, fuck that.
Yeah,
I don't care how many mass murders
I
they
don't think
commit.
that's gonna happen.
I don't care if they bomb if they start bombing city. No, that's the problem. Is I actually agree with Steve Bannon on that. I think that there's going to be a wave of violence when he gets impeached.
Yes.
Oh, I think there's gonna be a wave of violence, but
big
I don't
time.
think it's gonna be a civil war. It's gonna be a wave of violence, like we've seen, just tripled.
I
If
agree.
that makes any sense.
I agree with that. The problem is Trump. The one statement he made about that was so scary was when he said, "I have the cops, the bikers, and the military, and those are people that they don't get. When you push them, things will get very, very bad."
Yep, he said that.
Yeah.
He's telling the military.
Mhm.
He's signaling to the military.
Yeah, he's dog
Join my
whistling.
coup.
Yeah, he's well.
It's like
Also
Darth Vader,
that
join me.
he had put so many generals in the cabinet, which typically does not happen because you want to have the civilian
Right.
it's
You
the
don't want.
separation, and you don't want to have your military be in charge of the government. But he's definitely dog whistling. I I agree with Scott that I don't think that we're going to have a civil war like we've had before. I think that we're going to see a lot of terrorist attacks because these white nationalists and white supremacists are basically Christian ISIS. And they are kind of they're feeding into each other the same way and recruiting each other the same way ISIS does in chat rooms and Reddit. And I think that I also feel like we're not talking about the incel arm of this because a lot of them are involved with a lot of terrorist activities. And I feel like there's a big overlap if you had a Venn diagram between the incels and these white nationalists, that there is an overlap. But
well,
I think
maybe
we're
you
gonna
should listen
see...
to Jordan Peterson when he says we need proliferation of vaginas, that and men will be calmer. He basically implied that we need to start like making women have sex with men in
Well,
order to...
I think that Jordan Peterson should offer up his vagina first.
There we go.
He might be.
All for that booty.
I mean, he very well could be closeted. That's true.
I think he's given
A lot
that
of men
mussy
that
all over the
angry at
place.
women, you know, a lot of guys that angry at women are just like, deep down, it's be like, why do we need them at all? That's why they say Aristotle hated women. That's the rumor, that
Really?
Aristotle was gay and that he constantly talked shit. It was either him or Plato. I think it was Aristotle. Talked shit about women all the time, and people are like, well, yeah, he had no purpose for them.
But I feel like most ancient Greeks were all like bisexual or pansexual anyway.
Yeah, that was like the thing.
It was very
in
accepted.
couture.
Yeah, it was accepted. There were pedophiles, a lot of them. I mean, like Athens specifically. In fact, because there was a thing in 300 where they called the Athenians boy lovers, and people were like, "That's so ignorant." And it goes, "No. What they're saying was Spartans fuck men. Athenians were actually fucking. They looked down on Athenians for fucking boys."
Yeah.
Which I think we agree. Men is better.
Yes, I agree.
Men are better. Thank you.
Yeah. Nobody's begrudging anyone.
So yeah, Steve King is basically one of these guys who's just like, you know what? I think we have enough white nationalists in this country that I can stay here and that I can be a representative of this. He's the kind of person who might, when this is all over, join a new party. And it's not red or blue or green. It's gonna be white.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be white. It's gonna be. I think that there's a chance that these people actually think that white nationalist trolls should get to be their own party, because I think they look at Iran as a model. Mm-hmm. Iran is their model. The Islamic Revolution in Iran in the late 70s, when the hillbillies of the country took it away from the intellectuals. Mm-hmm. That's their plan. That's exactly the model they want. They want a religious caliphate, but the religion is Trump.
Yep. I agree completely.
And they're authoritarians. They just believe that power is rightness. Mm-hmm. And that's why we have to let them slaughter us by the millions if that's what they need to do.
No.
I don't want it to happen, but I'm saying, like, there's no amount of bloodshed that would be worth allowing the criminal to end democracy as we know it.
They're going to OD on meth first, or fentanyl, or whatever the hell those people are
that would be nice.
Smoking. Just give them time.
But I'm telling you,
I mean, literally, it's already working. There's more people dying from overdoses than cancer right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
fentanyl,
yeah. I mean, honestly, if we can hold out 4 years, like half of Trump's supporters will be dead by then.
Well, unfortunately, I think that diminished capacity is a big part of his support. People who are
they've already
done
they've already done studies that a lot of the Trump supporters are addicted to substances, either opioids
because
or...
he has the mentality of someone who is on a very big substance that is making him confused all the time and erratic.
He's very manic.
And people look at him as like a safety net for themselves and say, well, if the president is like this, there's nothing wrong with me.
Yep.
Because the president is erratic and doesn't make any sense and just acts crazy all the time. And maybe my family is wrong for saying that there's something wrong with me and that I should be, the president's like this. And
and he's the president, so fuck my parents and fuck everybody.
Yeah, there's that many.
Yeah.
I think there's that many crazy people in this country. They all just are drawn to him.
Yeah.
And he knows that. That's why he refuses to talk badly about white supremacists. He doesn't want to ever, piss off his base.
That guy in
he found his target audience.
The guy in New Zealand was anti-Trump though.
No, he was pro-Trump.
No, he was pro-Trump.
Yeah.
I heard.
Oh, no.
No. He's pro-China. He's against Trump.
What he said in his in the manifesto, there was a questionnaire or something. The reference to Trump was that Trump is bad as a policymaker and leader, but great as a but that they support him for helping white identity and being a focal point.
Yeah.
So they did. He thinks Trump's an idiot, but serves the purpose of
beacon
helping
of white power.
But the reason he did the killing was he pledges allegiance to China.
What?
Read
I didn't hear that at all.
Yeah, it's about China.
Because a lot of it was trolling.
No. China's like a real issue. I'll look it up and.
Okay, yeah, I just hadn't heard that part.
Yeah. But because no one wants to talk about it.
The guy's a white nationalist.
Yeah.
The guy is a neo-Nazi.
Yeah.
Which, that not that Nazis never, side with Asians.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually the funniest thing about Tila Tequila. I remember her saying, she goes, I'm the first, because people think I must be the first Asian to ever side with the Nazis. And I'm like, actually, you're not. Tila, you should probably read up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't hear that part of it, but
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about
but the
it.
guy
Yeah.
is a class. He is a 100% 4chan troll dude. He is.
Yeah.
He is the proof that those people are the terrorists because everyone wanted to pretend that they were two separate groups, and they're not. Trolls are Nazis, are alt-right, are mass murderers. It is one. I'm not saying every one of those people.
Yeah, there's
is
levels.
all of them.
Yeah, of course.
But that is one pool of people.
Yeah.
That is one cesspool of people, and some of them are going to go one direction. Some
Yeah,
of them
where
are gonna
there's
go the
one,
other.
there are the others. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always thought that people who are amused by trolling are sick. There's something sick
of course.
about being amused by just being obnoxious. And
Yeah.
this is where it's ended up. Through reality shows on the internet, we have made trolling a viable culture.
Well, they're like cyber bullies that are trying to go into like real life and kind of create the chaos that they do behind the screen in the streets. And I think that's where things are going to start getting dangerous, is that like they're going to start trying to hit soft targets, and we're going to see more of these, like, you know, what's SAOC or mailing bombs and stuff. I think that is what's going to end up being.
Well, yeah, they could just end up being a terrorist cell for decades.
Yeah.
That kill people in the name of Trump, and it's very, very possible. And I apologize if this sounds callous, but in the long run, the violence that these people do in his name might be what's necessary to show the millions of other people.
But who's
how
doing it in his
depraved-
name?
how
They're doing it in the
depraved
name of white nationalism. They're not.
Oh, I mean, in the next few months.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying
yeah.
when that happens, I think it'll finally show a lot of people this is how depraved your
Yeah.
ideology has been.
Yeah.
This is who you're aligned with.
And this is how clear the sides
Absolutely.
were.
I
You thought we were
completely
assuming.
agree. It has to come to that point to get the point
And
across.
when that fucking murderer made that okay symbol in that picture in his shackles, everyone else that tried to be like, oh, you're just dumb. You don't even understand. It's just a joke. You know goddamn well it was never a joke. It was
But,
always about helping white nationalists, and we need to hold all of them responsible for it.
Going full circle back into this Mueller report, though, this is part of the reason why I feel like the report's not going to get released, because I'm sure that they have intelligence agencies doing risk assessment that says if this report comes out and if Trump gets impeached, that we're going to see this spike in murders and like mass shootings and bombings and things like that, and they might feel like it's not worth the risk.
I think that's where Pence comes in. I think that's why no one's talking about Pence, because they need somebody there to take over, and so they're going give them Pence, because if we don't give them Pence, we're fucked.
Yeah, they need that. I think you're absolutely right with Pence, keeping all the heat off of Pence, just so if they put him in place, it's kind of like Switzerland. Like, he hasn't been damaged or affiliated or anything. He's just been kind of like the bystander that actually took over. So that's what they're trying to set it up as. So if they do get the impeachment to go through and he takes over, that it's more of a smooth transition and keeps everybody, like, makes
Look at this guy.
everybody
He's a
happy.
real Republican anyway. Trump wasn't, remember?
Yeah.
And then it's going to be that.
Yeah,
It's-
but I mean, I think that's the bone to appease your like more regular Republican, but that's not going to quiet these Trumpers.
Nothing's gonna quiet them.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's not gonna. Yeah,
No.
there's gonna
So-
be.
They just have to be the center of their own demise. We have to let them spiral and off themselves.
Yeah.
However way that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're fucked. But I've always said Trump's not going to get away with any of this, but America might not recover.
Yeah. All right. Well,
absolutely.
on that
Whoa.
happy note, we should wrap this up. But just tell everybody where can they find you on social media? What gigs do you have coming up next? I'll start with you, Scott.
Oh, when's this coming out?
Like a week. 2 weeks?
Yeah. I mean, probably.
Oh, I'm going to be, all right, in 2 weeks. So this Friday night and Saturday, I'll be at Sligo's Irish Pub in Media, Pennsylvania, headlining there. And that's it. Come see me. Scott_Chaplin, CHAPLAIN. There we go.
Christy.
I'm at on Instagram at Christy Miller Official, on Twitter at Bitchy Slambora. I'm close every Tuesday night at Broadway Comedy Club's 11 p.m. show. And then I produce the late night NC-17 Wild Wild West show the first Saturday of every month at West Side Comedy Club. And I'll be in Connecticut for a roast battle with some boys of mine, and I have no idea who I'm roasting, so that'll be interesting. And whatever. That's not important. Anyway, that's it.
Dave.
Dave Cyrus, Cyrus, Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
I'm Marissa Smith. You can follow me on Twitter at Marissa Smith. Follow this show on Twitter at The Blamestorm. Also, check out my other podcast, Big Talk and Brewskis, on Twitter at Big Talk and Brew. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on iTunes. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.